I've spoken to a number of journalists. I've spoken to a number of fans, especially my Uber drivers around in town. You ask them questions about what they are feeling towards their team is. And they genuinely believe this is destiny. They genuinely believe that there is some spiritual forces that has literally just written the Ivory Coast name on the trophy. Because one guy specifically told me that, look, 2 weeks ago, they knew they were going out. They had to depend on, first of all, Mali. Mali let them down. Then they had to hope and pray that Morocco did the job. Then Morocco did the job. But even after that, they were going to face the defending champions. And considering how they had played in the group stages, they in their heads, and he told me basically that they were just hoping that their team would come out and give a good performance. They didn't expect to win. And then they went on to win. You look at the miracle that happened in that game against, where was it, Mali in the quarterfinals. Absolutely shocking, going down a man, going down a goal, but yet some way, somehow managing to win it even before it went to a penalty shootout. So they believe that this is destiny. When they looked at their team, especially in that semi-final against DRC, the way Côte d'Ivoire played, in fact, since Fight took over, that for me has been the most controlled performance that they've had. They dominated the Congolese. We just didn't see that very expansive Congolese side that we are seeing throughout the competition. Their chances were limited. Fofana had very little to do. So they believe that, look, in as much as Fai is doing a really good job or has done a really good job so far, they believe that it is destiny. And they believe that facing Nigeria in the final was written in the stars from the beginning. In fact, one person mentioned to me that the official song was a collaboration between an Ivorian and then a Nigerian. Before my mind went to the fact that, yes, it was actually a magic system. So they believe it's written in the stars and they are supposed to face Nigeria in the final and they believe they are going to carry the trophy.
Well, if anybody wants to refer to the issue of the stars and all of the numerology and all the, the superstition and all of that, well, the last time any of that happened, as far as we can remember, which was with Zambia, going to pay homage at the site where the national team had it, they had it right. So, well, let's just see. It probably may be. But tell me how, you've painted the picture very well, but now it also boils down to the two sides. You've seen some very good football. From the statistics and what we've seen so far, who has the slight edge? And this is pure football matters, not, big day game mentality. No.
Look, pure football matters. It's extremely difficult to, even in terms of a slight edge, I think it's bank on 50-50. Why am I saying that? I think from the beginning of the tournament, and Stone did a preview with us on TV and on radio, before anybody kicked the ball, he didn't even think Nigeria were going to reach the stage. In fact, if I quite remember, he mentioned something around if Nigeria reached the knockout round, he would be satisfied. But then after that first game against Equatorial Guinea, we've seen a very different Nigerian team.
And now he's more than satisfied and is now in a different realm as well.
That's typical of them. I'm not surprised. I've met a couple of colleague journalists who also held the same opinion, and all of a sudden they've changed their mind. But if it was a Black Stars, I'll do the same, so I don't fault him for that. But look, we've seen a different Nigeria throughout. But after the first game, built on defensive solidity, hardly give chances away, very difficult to break down. And that front three turns into a front two with Lookman and Osimhen have really built a very good partnership. So you can't bank against them. Also, when you look at the Ivorian team after the group stages, the work that Fire has done is a completely different team to the team that played in the group stages. And even the players are given that testimony. Seko Fofana mentioned it to me, Willie Boli mentioned it to me, Jean-Michel Seri also mentioned it to me, the fact that Amas Fire has completely changed the atmosphere in the dressing room. When it comes to his selections, he's spot on. When it comes to substitutions, he's very timely. And the tactical instructions, we've even seen that they have varied from game to game basis. The way they played against Senegal is very different from their display against Mali, very different from their display against the Congolese. So he seems like a very pragmatic manager that knows how to go into games to get the better of the opposition depending on how they play. Now, the reason why I may slightly give Ivory Coast the advantage is because for Nigeria, we've seen a certain trend from the second game up until this point. That's back three, defensive solidity. We know they are very dangerous on the counter. But for the Ivorians, they set up based on how the opposition sets up. So I don't think Nigeria can sit down and say, this is how Ivory Coast are going to play, so we are going to pin them down. And for the first time in the competition since the second game, we saw Nigeria carve open quite a number of times, and that was against South Africa. I don't think the Ivorians will be that wasteful. And Stone mentions Halle being wasteful. I think it was just a one-off. In terms of wastefulness in this competition, I don't think anybody has been more wasteful than Victor Osimhen, which is very unlike him. But even then, you will not bet against him in the final. Halle is a top-class striker. If you look at the chance he missed in the first half against DRC and the goal he scored, it's just basically +1 -1. He was going to score anyway, and it wasn't necessarily about how big or how small the chance is. He has that ability. And for me, it's not even his finishing ability. His ability to bring the other attacking players into play. His link-up play is he's second to no one when it comes to that style of football at this competition. So he is dangerous. And even with the Ivory Coast selection, you look at how it varies from game to game. I don't think Nigeria will know who exactly is going to start for the Ivorians, who is not going to start, and even the tactical instructions that is going to be given to them. So I may give Ivory Coast a very, very slight advantage going into this one. But again, look, this Nigerian team under Peseiro they've shut me up. In fact, they shut everybody up, even Nigerians themselves. And I think that is why most of them believe that even in the midst of what was so glaring, they've been able to overcome the barriers, and not like the way Ivory Coast have done it. They've been able to do it pretty easily. Ivory Coast have snapped through. So penalties against Senegal, extra time against Mali. It was really the DRC game that was comfortable. But Nigeria has dismissed opposition very easily and have been able to nullify the opposition. So for me, this is a perfect final. It's not a final where you would look at it and say this team is going to win or this team is going to win. And even when you are saying, even if you are going to say one team is going to win, you'll be looking at big team mentality, you'll be looking at history. No. Even in terms of football, strictly tactical play is very difficult to separate both teams. So for me, this is the perfect AFCON final.
Perfect AFCON final indeed. I couldn't agree with you more. But Daniel, once all is said and done, there will be a winner. Even if the game goes on for 5 hours, there will be a winner. Okay. If you're pushed to give a scoreline, I mean, based on 90 minutes of play, what are we slightly looking at? What are we looking at?
Since I said I can't separate it based on football, I'll go based on my feelings. I don't want Nigeria to win, so I'll be hoping that the Ivory Coast will win. And I'll be hoping that Ivory Coast will do it in 90 minutes because I don't have the heart.
Slim scoreline, big one?
Penalties. So I'll go 1-0 to Ivory Coast. And it will be
1-0
to score the goal just to shut two now.
Very well, very well. In the unlikely instance where there is a penalty shootout?
Cote d'Ivoire win that.
Cote d'Ivoire, just like they did against Ghana on 2 occasions.
Blasphemy.
Yes.
Okay, well...
Osimhen to miss his penalty.
Blasphemy.
Osimhen will miss. Okay, well, that is according to Daniel K. Daniel, thank you so much. You need to hurry off to that news.